Hi everybody. I wanted to come back into the group and look at some of the charts that have been posted. You can all post your charts. It's in the unit section in the menu on the side, and it says post your chart, and you just post the screenshots or PDFs of your either human design or both human design and Gene Keys, however you want to do. And it's also great if you have like something specific, like a question or a contemplation, like this is happening in my life. How can that be discerned through the profiles, or so you can really do that. You can also, if you want, post connection charts sorry, with somebody else. And I don't promise to go to be able to do all of them, but I'm really going back quite often and actually look at the charts. Also, please, you can comment on each other's charts. There is so much wisdom out there, and so many of you that are quite deep into those systems. So that's also something that's really valuable. So let me share. So here we have Jessa's human design, splenic projector, powerful cross. Yeah, so here we see a projector that is also a split. So we have these centers that are connected together and these centers that are by themselves. It's a little bit like two different ways of functioning. So important here to actually make sure that you're grounded, make sure that you listen to your intuition, that you are with the right people, that you're really here to see how things can be done better. And it is on a quite high frequency that we want you to do this, because on a low frequency, it can be pointing out everything that is wrong. But when you have the 17 and the 18 in your sun and your earth on the soul side, it is about having that farsightedness, about having that integrity. So it's also about not staying when it's not worth it. This double channel of struggle is like the fight has to be worth fighting for. Otherwise, you can see that it's easy for you to get depleted. And it's also the completely open ego that has to do with worthiness, and then a lot of emotional activations, but being open emotional. So this can also be other people's feelings and emotions, and all that comes in, and then what do you do with it, right? To be able to discern what's yours and what somebody else's, and here to not be caught up in having to do so much, improve so much, but to be able to come back and be able to be. And there are so many activations in the G center that tells you to just be you, know where you are going, and you know what love is, you know what you want to do here. So to not fall in so much to the open centers, the pressure from the outside, and like feeling like you have to have the energy when you don't. And also the head is completely open, so some doubt, confusion, and even like wanting to understand why is something that you can experience. A lot of possibilities of expression, leadership theme and precision, a lot of versatility. Also important for you to be in the now and to be grounded in the now, in what's happening here and now, and not just be busy in the now, but actually being in awareness, being present and in presence in the now. I would also say that the profile is interesting because it's a fixed fate. It is a 4-1 profile, right? And with that 15-4, it's like your fixed fate is that fluorescence. It is that 15 that in a low frequency can go to extremes or be dull. But I would say often the 15 goes to extremes and doesn't really find balance. But it really wants to find balance. It wants to love to be here. It wants to love other humans and not be afraid of their emotions. It really wants to bloom in this life. And it is connected to life force and rhythm. And that's when you don't have the 5 in the sacral center, you can of course feel like you don't maybe have your complete rhythm or grounding. So that is something to find in yourself. How can you ground yourself? How can you feel grounded? How can you feel like you're not just busy? How can you feel like things are not just going round and round in your head? So I would say rhythm, anything that can ground you and feels like the rhythms of the earth, of natures are just so good. And if we go to your uh, gene keys, we see that, and there can be a numbness and an anxiety for the 4th line that we need to break out of. We need to come back to our grounding, to our heart, to our warmth, because otherwise we can bypass our whole life. And in your case, it just looks quite busy and extreme somehow. And when you come back to your heart and out of your numbness, out maybe of the busyness, then you are coming into the 17 and the 17 and the 18th, that have to do with the grounding in your physical form, has to do with a big perspective, that has to do with integrity. And suddenly your relationships can really be more balanced, and you can find your flow. And then instead of being scattered, you become versatile. You find your mastery. And the 3rd line is like everything that you ever felt was going wrong. Suddenly, there's humor about it. There's humor about life. And then you can see the 45-6 in the pearl, the essence. It's like you're canvassing, you're bringing things together, you're bringing in new things, you're taking in like new people, even in the tribe. You're speaking to people that were not part of the tribe before. That's that 45-6. So it's like that essence is very beautiful. And in the culture, you work best with a small team, 3 to 15 people. So if that's not the way that you work in your daily life, you kind of want to check, how your energy levels are after a day of work, because you could deplete yourself. So this is important, especially you being a projector. And you can see that the 3rd line is what you really want to look at when it comes to unlocking your true intelligence and everything that is the self-love and the self-realization. It has to do with that 3rd line of like what could go wrong, or the shame and failure, and being like a trickster in a way, kind of being there but not really wanting to be there. Maybe not wanting to cry because it's just kind of escaping or being evasive. And there's so much leadership in those keys, mastery and universal love and leadership and humility, precision, like impeccability. There's so much leadership in you when the 3rd line, instead of cutting, kind of escaping, comes back to like the humor and the tragedy of life, and just doesn't feel afraid to feel and to express and to cry and to loosen up that constriction or that fear. So that is something in the Venus sequence that is extremely powerful for you, where there's so much leadership when you come back to the depth of your feelings completely, which has to do also with the numbness that can be there when you don't want to feel. So I would say that is just so much the main thing. So many 3rd lines. It's just incredible how many 3rd lines you have in the middle of the chart. Now we have Mary. So here we have another projector, do we? Or is it a manifestor? I can't see. Yeah, no, it's a split. So here we have one more that's not an energy being with a filled in sacral, but we still have quite a lot of definition. And we also have a split, so you can see how life could kind of just have to do with emotions, the tribe, the community, the family, and the family dynamics, the dynamics of the tribe. Like if it's not a biological family, it's just like the community, the tribe. Very, very powerful. And you really also want to include the rest, right? There is also a very strong leadership theme here. There's a theme of a lot of ideas, a lot of like experiences, like both the 33 and the 56 are like storytelling gates. So it's like your leadership comes from telling a story more than anything else, and something that you experienced. And there can be some caution around it, but like it's kind of knowing, as long as you speak from the purity of your heart, it's going to have a lot of impact in the world, a lot of impact. Also this kind of core wound of forgiveness and deeper understanding instead of doubt about what we're here basically to do, what's possible in relationship is there. When you look at your incarnation cross, you have that thing of revelation. So you're here to reveal some of the things that have been forgotten. And I would kind of feel it has something to do with the community and how to live together, how to be an individual, maybe in a collective. Something like that is what it feels like. And then you have the second, the first gene key on the soul side, which are very powerful keys. So your 5-1 is a very powerful profile. I would love to know what you're doing, actually. And what more can I say about this one? I feel like I want to go into this one. Yeah, so very strong leadership theme with that pearl in 7-6 and that IQ in 31-5. You could also be somebody who becomes quite, if you don't let in your vulnerability, that could just very much cut off all the beauty. The 5th line is breaking out of misunderstandings or conflict by using your vulnerability as strength. And that is so important. And it's basically a double thing because that 19 has to do with sensitivity. So you want to come back into your vulnerability, your sensitivity. That's actually how you're going to get your impact in the world. If you don't do that, you are going to feel quite lonely, probably. You're going to feel like you're in the wrong place. You're going to feel like you don't know if a day is going to be dark or light. That first gene key that has entropy and depression and not knowing when it's going to spark and when it's going to be dark. And when you're like in your impact but not in your vulnerability, this can be quite shaky on the inside, and your relationships can be, there can be a lot of intolerance and kind of cutting and like not so much gentleness at all. And then that would make you kind of become introvert and feel like nothing of what you expected in this life is coming true, and that you can't even share really with anybody the depth of who you are. And that can also be why you don't even want to look there. So this is very powerful, how it could go. But what we really want you to do is to include that sensitivity and that vulnerability. And then you can see here we have a lot of high lines, the 6th line and the 5th line in the middle, which are mental in a way. So again, it's to not get stuck in your arrogance, not get stuck in your head, not resigning because nobody really understands the purity of your emotions, or it's like it's a bit of this resignment of the emotional that can happen in this one. And we really want you to reclaim your full intelligence. That really has to do with leadership that comes from a place where we don't resign our emotions, but we include them. And also the SQ that really has to do with being a role model. But you can only become that in the world by making sure that your inner child has been parented. And if it hasn't, if your inner child didn't have the mentoring, and if it didn't find its own authority, then you want to give that to yourself first, so that the SQ can start to shine, and so you can start to shine that feminine essence that you have in your radiance. It's so important from this SQ. We can also maybe look back into the SQ and So your divine masculine is the 42. So it's beautiful because there is a fearlessness in you. You know, in order to become stable in your life, you need a fearlessness in you, and you need to kind of trust something higher. And that it's not through exhausting yourself in the community that you're going to find stability. It's in trusting God, basically, and fearlessly doing that whatever happens. And then the feminine can rise. The true feminine, her goddess, in her fifth line, in her authority, can really rise through that masculine stability of fearlessness and trust. So this is a powerful theme of your inner marriage. Very, very powerful. And of course, with the open spleen, to not hold on to things that are not good for you, whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally, or spiritually. And having that 57, which is a lot of intuition, just making sure that you are not in an environment with people that are really draining you, because then even your intuition can somehow be lessened. So yeah, I guess that's the main things that I can see in this chart. And then we have, oh, a lot of openness here. A projector. Wow, three charts with an open sacral. Single definition projector, a 1-3, and emotional authority. So a lot of openness. Kind of want to make it bigger. An interesting cross. Very interesting cross. Powerful cross. This cross, I can sometimes, feel like you kind of have to be on the cross before your life really starts. It is this kind of, Jesus Christ theme in a way. You kind of have to feel, and for you, it's like you even kind of have to go to the bottom of that. I would love to hear more of your experience, of course. And we can see how this chart connects with the chart we just looked at, that sensitivity and that revelation through having the courage to be sensitive, remembering that we can retreat. We don't have to just have impact and be in the masculine. We can be in our sensitivity. We can retreat. We can be yielding. And then the biggest revelations are coming to us. The North Node has to do with it, remembering who you are and why you're here. And you have it on both sides, the 19 and the 33. So yeah, it's the 1-3 also learns by experiences. So you kind of bump into things in life, and with all this openness, it can be a bit confusing. It can feel like life kind of just throws you around a bit. And at the same time, there is a powerful grounding. You're here to feel a lot, to live your life through emotions, not to make decisions through emotions, of course, which we always say with human design. When you have emotional authority, sleep on it. Make sure you don't make decisions in a high or in a low. There is something in the unconscious collective that you're here to shine light on. It has to do with that fear of failure that we all carry. Somehow you have the same on both sides. So to just kind of, also, it's a bit of a fearlessness of saying this works. This is what's going to work. This is what I see long term. This is what we have to, in the garden. If you go to a garden, we have to water the right plants and weed out the plants that don't serve. So that's the 32. That is part of your transformation in this lifetime, I would say, in the gift that you share with humanity. A completely open G center. So I feel like you can in the beginning of your life maybe be a bit confused of like where you're going or who you are, or maybe not confused, but maybe attaching that to somebody else, to kind of see that your direction goes together with somebody else. But I feel, and it's maybe you're not, maybe you're kind of born free in a way, who knows. And then it is to be able to be that reflection for people. Like, what are you following? Are you following your own direction? Are you following what love is? Are you following who you are? So that is something I feel like you can ignite in people. You can reflect back to them. And again, careful, how you use your energy, not here to just work and work and work and work, but more of guiding. Um, and open throat can be to seek attention or approval. You can see that maybe you speak differently depending on who you're with. So being sure that you speak your truth. Um, yeah. And then let's go to and here suddenly it's beautiful because we go in here and then we see keys that I didn't even speak about that really stand out. And here is something also with Jessa that we saw before, that 18, that integrity to in the outer world, how you're gonna prosper, how you're gonna create prosperity for yourself in abundance, and what the essence of your life is to walk as a role model in integrity, and also connect with other people and actually even create networks where integrity and your own knowing is what you are connecting with. The 38, we also saw it in the chart before, that has to do with fighting the right fight. And a 6 line in the 38, can feel like a lot of struggle. So this kind of goes together with the cross that we were seeing in the beginning. This is a life where you can feel quite separate, and sometimes like even feeling why you came to this planet, like it's the wrong planet. You're kind of used to something else, and that separation care kind of core wound. And it's to have patience and perspective, like patience with yourself and perspective, and a little bit more, you kind of, well, your life can feel like you're on the right planet a little bit more. And a potential for really a lot of tenderness, a potential for a lot of playfulness, for a lot of magic. And really it comes when you can include others on a plane that it's not only like, it's not calculated. It's not like what's in it for me, but it's really about including others where there's like mutual receiving and giving. And sometimes for the 3 we even say like, serve others and see what happens. Like, do go out a little bit from that first line, the self, and include the other, and then so many things can start happening. You can break through. You're going to feel that tribal nature that you have, your tribal leadership, your artfulness, your playfulness in relationships, and really the honor that you're here to feel for having fought the right fights that aren't only about yourself but also have to do with others. And then your life becomes much more adventurous. And emotional, there can be a kind of self-sabotage. So again, the first line, there is something there, with a self that seems to be a challenge. So I feel like even there, include others and be able to share about whatever feels turbulence on the inside, to be able to not repress it, but actually be able to share about it. And that can be the kind of first practice to find that true intelligence, from the IQ to the EQ, to reclaim your whole intelligence, emotional and intellectual. And then you can come back to the SQ and make sure that you give yourself the adventure that you might not have had as a kid, the humor, the adventure, and making sure that you listen to that inner child, because that inner child can kind of have closed off to you and be deaf to what you're trying to do. So it is to come back and really listen actually to that inner child and be able to become that parent. And that's what I was saying also in the other chart. Then that divine feminine and masculine can rise together. So maybe just go back really quick and look at Saturn for you as well. So for you, Saturn is, where do we have it? Is it 18? I can see, or is it 16? Oh wow, there's so many 18. This is pretty amazing with all these 18s that you have. So your divine masculine and your stability also has to do with that integrity. and the coherence, like the masculine knowing how to behave with others. So also your stability comes from how you relate with others, and how you're able to find coherence, how you're able to, like, you know, flow in every situation with others. That's going to help you, that inner child, to not come up and kind of control your life by being, like, you know, being childlike in a way, in a negative way, but actually finding that flow and that coherence, so that you can come out and play in your feminine, that you can come out and have being that strong feminine with all the insights and all the wisdom. Yeah. So yeah, very cool with 3 charts um, with open sacral. And please continue to post your charts and also questions and comment on each other's charts. And I'll see you soon. Bye.